So I've seen a couple people ask how to build a screened-in patio on a patio cover. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. It's been working pretty well for me. Let's see what you guys think. And I'll also show you how to do it. So what I do is that. Now obviously the knee braces and whatnot will be taken out of the patio. And I'll show you guys how to do that also, because that is not set up in the system. So what you want to do is you're going to want to build it first. You can build it in whatever sections you want, 8 foot, 10 foot, 6 foot, 3 foot. But once you get it built, you won't have to build it again. We're going to build on a piece of concrete. Change this material out real fast. And once you get this done, you normally won't have to do it again if you save it to what I like to call a project board. And it's just different things that I've built that I can always go back and take a look at, copy and paste from. These are all the different boards and whatnot I used. To build your door, you want to build a custom door. That way you can just turn it into a custom model and drop it in at any point. Well, I'll show you that towards the end, and you'll understand how to make it after I go through the process. But so have yourself a project board so you can always steal from it when you need to. And we'll be stealing several parts from it during this process. So we're just going to square this out. So for this purpose, we're going to just build a 10-foot section at 8 feet high. Most of my patio covers are posts are 8 feet high, so bottom of beam is at 8. So the first thing you want to do, we build, when we do ours, we put in a pony wall. And for those that don't know what that is, I'll show you real fast. This bottom part right here is called a pony wall. We're going to build our pony wall at 3 foot, so that'll leave this screened in part at 7 foot. And then we've got trim around ours. So it kind of depends upon how you're attaching your screen on whether you have this trim or not. Whether you're using these technique where you can push the screen in, it's got rubber ends that you can push into a trim work. For design purposes, we're just pretending that this screen is sandwiched in between two 2x4s. So that's what that trim is. That is a 2x6 right there, and that's a 2x6 on the bottom. So let's show you guys how we build that. Over here on my project board, I've got multiple boards already pre-made. So we're going to start with that 2x6x10 board. So just Control C, come over to my project, Control V. And we're going to make sure that the 6-foot end is laid flush with the ground, so this needs to rotate 90 degrees. And we're going to make sure that it is at 0. And then we're going to come in with 2 2x4s, but for purpose of this, I'll show you what we'll do just to make it a little bit easier on ourselves. Control C, Control V. Of course, I put it all the way over there. Let's go grab that real fast. Now, for the sake of this project, we are going to change this material just so we can see it easier. And then we'll change it back once we get everything done. Now you're going to marry this up. And we're going to go over to plan view real fast. Since this is a lighter shade, you can go ahead and bring it forward. You want to have this set on top of your 2x6. And we know that we're going to, I guess for the sake of the video, we'll go ahead and change this to standing upright on it. You want to make sure that that is set. Go ahead and turn the, why isn't it letting me? There we go. I'm going to set this right there. And we know we're going to have two 2x4s side by side, so we're going to go ahead and change that to 4 inches by 4 inches. And I'm going to center it on that 2x6. And remember, that's just our trim work, or our bottom trim. And that 6-inch piece will sit on the ground. Use anchor screws or whatever technique you decide to put in there. And like I said, right now we're just building our trim work, and it's on that trim work on the pony wall. Set that right on top. And now you want to build. Now we're going to put that top piece on there. Actually, I'm sorry. Next, we're going to come in here and build a box. And for this, we're going to be our tongue and groove, our hardy board. Or if you want to build a true 4-inch wall, you can do that also. You know, with your studs and whatnot. If you're going to be running any electrical, that's always helpful. You see I've got a little bit of a gap right there. You can barely see it. So we're actually going to bury this. Let's make our elevation 1.5 inches. Alright, so we're going to change this to tongue and groove, or fence and boards. So 3 is too big, so I always use it at about 1.3. Looks good for me. And we're going to set our height at, remember we said we were going to do it at 3-foot pony wall. So now we're going to come back in here and grab our trim again. And Control C, Control V. Now we can sit here and spin this and rotate it around if we wanted to. Excuse me. But for sake of the video, we're just gonna do this real fast. Oh, I forgot. I've got this set up weird. There we go. So that bottom 4x4, you can see I've got it measured out just a little bit off. It's no big deal though, unless your customers can be really picky. And we're married up to the top there. So Control C, Control V again. We're going to put in the other side. Top piece, Control C, Control Shift B is copy and paste in place. I'll do that again for you. Now, if I were just to Control C and Control V, it's going to put it somewhere else. But I'm going to want this married up to the same space, but just elevated. So Control C is copy, Control Shift V is copy in place. We're going to move that up. it'll be, see, it's about a ½ inch off. We're not going to worry about that though. Then we're going to put our top piece of trim on. Control C, Control Shift V. Paste it in place. Now we're going to put this on top of all that. Now we've got our pony wall built basically. And really this would butt up to your posts, or you could put another piece of 2x6 here if you wanted to. Whatever style you decide to do is up to you. So now we're going to put our screen in. So what you'll do to make screen, come in here. We want it, 9/11 is okay because it'll be hidden underneath some other trim. Your length, we're going to change that down to 1 inch. Try to get that in the center as much as possible. Now on your height, for your elevation, you're going to want it inside that 2x6, so that way if there's any overlap or anything, it's not seen. And we'll go ahead and set our height at, it'll be 5. And just to, since we move stuff and we may be off an inch, what I'll typically do is just drop a cylinder in there. Normally I'll color them blue. We're going to set that height to 8, and we can see we are an inch above. So we're going to drop our height just down 1 inch. So now what you do is you'll go to edit your material, go to accessory. Really, you can use anything black. I'll show you why, but we're going to go ahead and put screen in there. As you can see, we can't see anything through there. But if you're putting in a screen porch, you want to be able to see through there. So what I did right there was turned off the shininess, and we're going to convert to custom. Click yes, and now go to your shader, and you'll want to do a semi-transparent 25%, which means you're allowing 25% of sunlight through, 50%, and 75%. Typically I will go with 50%. So if you were just to put a piece of screen in straight across here, across this 18/6 span, you could just drop in that model, convert to custom, and change it over. I'm just showing you a little bit of extra stuff in case anybody questions. So now we want to put a framework around this. So what you do is select your side piece of trim, Control C, Control Shift V. You're going to move this up, make sure it's nice and buried, and then you are going to raise the height on it. We're going to bring it up. Oops, that wasn't height. We're going to bring it up flush there. Now another thing you could do is you could just build this as an 8-foot piece if you wanted to. And do the same thing. Control C, Control Shift V. Raise the elevation up, and raise your height up. And we're flush with the top there. Same thing here. Control C, Control Shift V. We're going to raise this up to the top. And not top of the whole thing. And one last time for the bottom piece of trim holding in the screen. Too high. Now we'll basically change all this back over to the wood material. want to, depending upon your project, you'll want to mess with getting the angle of that wood in there correctly. But for sake of this project, we're not going to mess with that. So now I could come in here. Since this on your project board, you never want to just drag that over there. You always want to make a copy of it, because if you have to go in and edit stuff, you won't be able to, because it'll be tucked underneath all this. So now what I would do is actually take that knee brace off. Now I can come in here, grab this section. Jeez Louise. Grab this section and I can drop it where I need to. Now I could drop in another piece here, or if I was to, do this, I would do, since I know from post to post I'm 18.6, I could get an actual measurement from the edge of that post divided by 2, or however many sections you're going to put in there. It'll kind of depend on your section of your screen that you're putting in, or you want to contact, if you have a sub doing it for you, doing the screen work for you, you want to contact and see what size their strips are. So earlier I showed you that we can come in, and once you have it set up, you can come in and you can go to fence, and you can come in here and just drop it in quick. Again, this would be 10-foot sections. So if you know that you can only get in like an 8, you can only get your screens at 8, you would instead of building it at 10, you would build it at 8. Now, this is a mirrored copy of this. This is just 10 feet long, 8 feet high. But you'll notice it's missing here on the end. So what I would do in that scenario is come in here, grab this little piece, Control C, Control V, and I'm about to miss it. And I'll just drop that in right there, and it would end it. Now, the reason it doesn't end on its own is, actually, I'll go ahead and show you why. Let's delete this out so it's not in our range. So all you have to do is select this, go to Tools, and Model Creation Wizard. Select Next. And I use Panel Fence, but you can use whatever you feel you want, whether it be stone edging. You want something that's going to give you a linear feet. So stone edging, panel fence, that may be all of them. But we're going to make this a panel fence. We can click Next, set name. We're just going to put in something random here so you can see it. And then click Next, click Finish. So now, when we come in here, we can draw whatever shape we want. And you can still see through it. And those are coming in where you see these double lines, that's 10 feet. Now, in the real world, we don't want 8 2x4s sitting there. We just want the one, because we'll put the shade cloth there, and then we'll put the shade cloth right next to it and sandwich it in between the 2x4s. So what we do to avoid that, those mirroring up next to each other, what we do is we just take this side piece off. So now we'll basically go through that project again. Select the whole project, Tools, Model Creation Wizard, next, Panel Fence again, set file name, and we'll call this one Z. And yeah, sure, finish. So now let's go ahead and make that one extra long. So now it still does it at 10-foot sections because the computer recognizes the model that you put in there. So it'll automatically put that trim work at 10. That's why you see here, which was, I think it was 35 feet. That's why you see it every 10 feet, it puts that in there. It also puts your bottom trim in also. Now, the door that you saw earlier, let's try to remember where I have it. So this door, basically made it the same way. You can see I've already turned it into a custom model. Here it is in all its broken apart pieces. And for that door handle I just got from 3D Warehouse and put it on there. But it's the same process, 2x4s with just that screen. So what you'll want to do, instead of building that, I'm just going to bring this over into this project. Control V. Once you've built it, you can go to Tools and Model Creation Wizard, and we're going to go to Next and show you the one. If you wanted to build an 8-foot door, it would be fine, but it's not going to look really good. So this example isn't going to come out quite right. I know that this isn't, and I should have set that up right, not on the ground. Genius. Sorry. So once you get it built, we're going to model creation. I'm sorry. Before we do that, sorry, modeling, convert to custom. Yes. Then you're going to want to rotate it to where it's sitting the way you want it to. Sorry about that. And bring the elevation up. Now this door is only 6'2". So it's not going to fulfill the full 8 feet, as you can see. It's going to leave, that 1 foot 10 inches. So in that scenario, since the door is, it's 7'1", and the width is 3 feet point and 1/10 of an inch. So basically what I would do is just leave a 3-foot gap, and then I'd put trim work and screen right there on top over here. Now if you were to build this if you wanted to take your screen door all the way to the top, you would basically build your door at 8 feet. And what we'll do is Model Creation Wizard, click Next, and we're going to set it as a panel gate. that way you can set it onto panel fences. And we're just going to call this one, we'll call this one test. Save. Next. Finish. Now what I'll be able to do, see how it's letting me put it into the move that out of the way. See how it let me put it into the panel fence or the screen that I sent up. And this way, when I'm looking at it in plan view, you can see it right here. You can also swing it open. Now, like I said, you would want to build this at 8 foot. I'm not going to go through the process of redoing all of that. Pretty sure you guys would know how to do it after looking at everything. Now, on these corners, you would obviously have a post, so you wouldn't have to worry about putting in. You probably want to put in the 4x4s. And this can actually be done for anything that you're going to be doing with any sort of linear footage. Like the system doesn't have board-on-board fence in there, or board-on-board with galvanized steel posts, but with just a little bit of work, you can just build one yourself. Or horizontal fence slats. Just build it yourself. So that's what I like to call pro tips. Somebody new doesn't know how to do all that, so they'd be sitting there doing it piece by piece by piece. Pros, we get paid because we get paid a little bit more because we take the time to learn all that and how to make it go faster, so we're not wasting our employers' money or wasting our clients' money. Because if I was to sit here and build 8-foot sections of this stuff over and over and over again, or 10-foot sections of this stuff over and over again, that's Lord knows how much money, how many hours I'd be charging the customer, while you or I, after knowing how to do this, we charge them a fraction of that cost. So that's how I do my screened-in patios. Hopefully it helps. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you want to know how to build a patio cover, I've got a video for that also. There's a couple different ways to do it. I tend to like the way that I do it. And just so you can see that we can see through that patio, see through that screening rather. There it is in the video. And that jump that I tried to point at the screen, obviously you guys can see my fingers. That jump that you see there is just because of the concrete. It's, you got 2 inches of concrete, so it drops 2 inches. Obviously you're going to be building on top of concrete, so you're not going to have that drop. It'll do the same thing on this section over here. But that's how you do it, and that's how you make custom fences and whatnots. So hopefully it helps you guys out. Hopefully you guys catch a little bit of break. I know we're all swamped right now, so try to stay cool, try to stay easy, and everybody enjoy.